I sat down with 3 of our developers to see their reactions to 5 of the most popular myths about being a developer.
Hey, I'm Blake.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Rob.
And we're developers.
Okay, so myth number 1 states that you have to go to college to be a successful developer.
I mean, I don't think any of us actually went the school route. I kind of fell into my current role, started as a UI designer, and eventually just did more and more UI, and that eventually turned into full-on application development. You started probably a lot earlier than any of us.
Yeah, I took some coding classes at high school, but I actually went to college to be a designer, but I got my first job as a developer, and it's been development ever since.
Yeah.
You made a career shift altogether, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I was working as a consultant for 6 years and then decided I wanted to get into programming. So the first thing I did was more of the self-taught route. I was taking classes on Code Academy and Khan Academy, which are free. I think they have probably some route that you can pay for them, but I was doing the free version. And then I took classes on Udemy also, which cost $10, $15. You can always get them on sale, so look for that. And then I was doing that, but kind of wanted something a little bit more intentional. So I started going back to JUCO to get my associate's degree in computer information systems. I got about halfway through, and then I've stopped since then because I realized I could it's easier for me personally to teach myself and not to sit in the classroom for 3 hours once a week. And I think some of the topics too, depending on where you go to school, some of them are kind of outdated compared to what you can find online. So that has been helpful.
Yeah, and you came on as an apprentice,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
So you got a lot of
yes.
I don't know, hands-on.
That's where I've
experience.
learned the most.
Well, that's good to know. But a lot of people say that you have to be really good at math to be a successful developer.
I think that's something I hear a lot. There is some math involved, but a lot of times it's nothing that your basic algebra kind of one course didn't teach you.
Sometimes you do need a little bit of math, but
Yeah,
you
definitely.
can just Google.
Yes.
Google has all the information, so if you need some
Right.
algorithm and you can't quite remember,
Yeah.
I'll just Google it, and then it's right there.
Yeah. How do I do a weighted average? What is a weighted average? I think this might be a weighted average solution. And you look it up and you're like, it is.
Yeah.
And you just typically can plug that in pretty one-to-one, so.
Yeah. I feel like I've pretty much forgotten all the math that I learned in school.
Yeah, it's
Which,
kind of
it's
on
okay.
as needed basis. Kind
If you can recall, I need a weighted average, or I
Right.
need this certain solution, you can look it up and then
Right.
go from there. There's
Yeah.
no way you can hold all that information in your mind, and you don't really need to.
Right.
Good point. But Rob, you mentioned that there are different types of programming.
There are math-heavy applications of programming, and then there are what we do, UI design and development. It's more aesthetic. There's not a ton of heavy math. It's just basic logic. I think that's where the distinction really lies. It's between kind of logic and math. So,
But what do you guys think about the stereotype that to be a developer, you have to be a nerd?
I mean, you don't have to be a nerd. You can be a nerd,
yeah,
but
nerds are welcome.
nerds welcome. But I mean, do you consider yourself a nerd?
Maybe not in stereotypical sense, but I mean, I think there's a certain level where we really generally have a passion for getting to the bottom of something, solving a problem, but I don't know that that's necessarily unique to nerds. I think you'll find, at least in our office, half the developers are musicians, kind of classic cool guys, gals. Are you a nerd?
I wouldn't consider myself one.
I think what people are thinking of when they have this idea in their mind, and it has been probably perpetuated through various movies or TV shows, the idea that you're a socially awkward individual who is kind of a loner and can really only get along with other people who like Dungeons and Dragons and whatever. We have plenty of people who love Dungeons and Dragons, but I wouldn't know my way around the game at all.
I've
I wouldn't
played
know
it
what it's
before.
doing. Okay, you're a nerd.
Yeah, thank you.
So you can be a nerd,
Yes.
but you don't have to be.
Well said. But myth number 4 suggests that devs don't get the chance to be creative.
I mean, I think at the core of what we're doing is being creative. We're finding unique solutions to sometimes pretty unique problems. And if that's not creativity, then I don't know what is.
A lot of times you're staring at a blank screen, a file, and you're like, I need to write something that can take this data and make it look like this. And that's a fun like challenge. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There may be better or worse ways to do it.
Right.
But you get to create the solution that fits your needs, and that's that way all up and down the chain of things that we do in a project, whether that's in the UI or actually handling data or
Right.
storing data, but a lot of it's UX too. I mean, we get to speak into how something would best be used or would facilitate our users' needs. It's really cool to collaborate with designers and people who are stereotypically thought of as the creatives. And a lot of times I feel like developers have a really good sense of what will work, what's practical, and maybe even pointing out some options that hadn't previously been considered. So
Yeah. And like you said, you can be creative with the code too,
Right.
the UX and the code. Like I have a notebook full of just like sketches or like I need this code to do this and then it goes here, just like following the flow of things through your app. I think it's a great way to be creative. And like once you come up with one solution, you can like refactor that and figure out how to make it better. And like that is a form of creativity too.
Right. We're always looking to build systems too. I think we want to see how our code can be reusable ideally and kind of stop repeating what we're doing because that gets boring. But that can be really fun to build a tool that can be used by other developers or users that's really kind of just scratching an itch that you might have had in your day-to-day or that you've noticed out there in the world. So I think that's really fun.
Okay, we're on our final myth. Myth number 5 insists that being a developer is a really lonely job.
I'm not lonely. Are you lonely?
I'm not lonely.
No.
Are you
A
lonely?
little lonely.
I think that being here at Crema has definitely shown me that it is not lonely. Like you get to work with other developers, designers, product strategists, testers. We have a lot of different areas and you get to interact with all of those, and we're all here in one building for the most part. Some people are spread out, but you get those day-to-day interactions, and as you're problem solving, you can ask other people, get their input. I think there's definitely an element of like if you want to be alone, you can be. It's not a bad thing to get that heads down time that you can just focus on something, but you can have the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah. Like all of what we do is able to be accessed on, through the internet. I mean, you could be on an island, on the Pacific, and as long as you have satellite internet, you could be like collaborating with somebody technically. So sometimes you come to better outcomes or solutions when you've got kind of multiple heads put together, and what you get at the other end is better. I said the other end. Sounds gross.
The other side?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds better.
Yeah, I think company culture is a big factor too to how lonely you
Yeah.
might be. Some companies you might be working totally remote, and while you might be physically lonely, you're still online with everyone else. Or a company like Crema, where we have a lot of people kind of in the same space,
Right.
where we really, encourage collaboration. So.
Do you have any advice for any aspiring developers that might be watching this video today?
Stop believing lies.
I would say if you're looking to get into development, but you're kind of hesitant or you've believed some of these myths, just get started somewhere. Like that's what I did with one small online class, and like Rob said, see if it's something that you're interested in and continue moving in that direction. And just like we talked about with different ways, whether that's self-taught or schooling, figure out like how you learn best and start moving towards that. And maybe that's trying a bunch of different things, but eventually like you'll kind of learn your patterns and what works for you. So don't be scared to just take a small step and get started.
I think also determining what motivates you is huge. Find something that you can commit to, whether that's building a website for some friend's band or something like that. Something where like you've got
That
some
you're
kind
passionate
of
about.
external pressure
Yeah.
to complete and figure out a solution. Or, I mean, maybe not everybody's that way, but sometimes I think having a real goal in mind is going to be helpful in seeing that you see it through, I guess.
Right,
So.
yeah.
Even more, like development is such a broad subject that find this little slice of that really piques your interest. Some people like the real visual aspect of front end development, where some people like the real data heavy kind of like back end database stuff. Like find what you like and then really start learning more about that subject.
Right.
Another thing I would say is like because for me, I've just recently gotten into the industry, and it's easy, like when you're starting to get frustrated with yourself and feel like, oh, I should be further along, or I should know this, or everybody else is like light years ahead of me. But it's helpful to realize that everybody is learning, and like you might get frustrated, but I still have like days where I just have like small victories. I'm like, yes, I figured this thing out. So it's like important to see those small victories and the progress you're making, and be able to look back and maybe like reflect on how far you've come. So I think that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, everyone in the industry is constantly learning. Like,
And forgetting.
and forgetting and
Yes.
then relearning.
Yes.
Yeah, like that's what we do.
Comment down below to let us know what you thought about the myths we covered, and feel free to mention any that we missed. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video so we can make more like it in the future. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date on all things related to product teams. See you next time!
See you later.
See ya.